to keep succeeding, you have to know where your success is coming from.
Yes.
If you are not able to tell where your success is coming from, you are not going to continue building on the things that made you successful. So, for instance, you are looking at yourself now, information is power. So, if I do a piece which will not please someone in authority, because I unearthed a lot of something that is going wrong, and in so doing it is denying a certain community the resources they need for social services, that's a public good.
Welcome back to another episode of Make Your Own Destiny podcast, the podcast that inspires you to shape your future. I'm your host, Musa. I'm with my co-host, Monty here, and today we have a very special guest who is the CEO of one of the top media companies, Mwananchi Communications, Mr. Bakari Machumu. And you guys have probably seen him in our Connectors Club event. He was there as a very special guest, so we decided to bring him on our podcast because we think he has a lot of value to share with the youth. So, Mr. Bakari Machumu, you're welcome.
Asante sana.
You are the first guest on this podcast who came before the time. Yeah, I was very surprised because we agreed 11 a.m. and you came so early.
We appreciate it.
So I thought 11 a.m. we are starting. So,
and we did.
And we did.
So, before we start to know about Mr. Bakari, you recently attended the Connectors Club. I know we've had conversations between me and you, but we wanted to know what were your impressions of the event and what do you think of that specific event?
Yeah. First of all, let me start by thanking you, Musa and Monty, for inviting me into your session of the podcast. I've watched a couple of episodes and I'm impressed with what you are doing, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And it did not surprise me because when I attended the event at Julius Nyerere Conference Center, and also at the dinner at Hyatt, I saw the level of the conversations and the enthusiasm the youth have, and it was so refreshing for us in corporate to see that Tanzania has these youth who are driven to find a solution. So when I was walking into Julius Nyerere, my mind was expecting to find these top executives of my age and beyond.
Okay.
And when I entered the room, I find a groups of young people, men and women, networking. So I was like, wow, I did not know we have such enthusiasm with youth in the space of entrepreneurship in Tanzania to that extent. So my plan then, I was taken to where I was supposed to sit, and I'm looking around trying to see who to connect with. I never moved from that position because after every young CEO coming to you, the other one will be coming, the other. So I wanted to see a few people I'd seen, which I'm acquainted to, but I ended up staying where I am. And I liked what I saw, first in the sense that someone will come to you, they'll just start telling you, this is my name, and this is what I do.
Okay.
And right there, I'm like, well, I am not in that line of business.
Okay.
And then someone will come, I tell them, Mimi, I come from Mwananchi Communication, media and communication space. And they'll be like, oh, so we can get visibility through you. So the conversation changes depending on, but the good thing was, I think it's the first step to shake your fears and be able to approach someone, introduce yourself and say what you do. Yes. Getting it to perfection, perfecting is something else. So with time, in the future, you'll now start targeting yourself. Who do I approach? Yes. Because they have to be relevant to what I do. So I liked the networking session, and then the masterclass. I was taking notes throughout the session, and I was also stress testing my thoughts. I'm soon to be a retiree. So I want to learn from the youth, what are they thinking, what are their challenges, and how can we work together. Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear how people came to your network, but my question is for myself and other people. You're a CEO of a big corporate company. When people come approach you, how should someone approach a CEO, or how should someone come network with a CEO? Because some people do come to CEOs, they say, I have this problem, can you help me out? Can you just take a picture? Yeah. And it removes them from that attention of, I'm coming here to network with you. Yeah. How, for a person like you, how should someone come connect with you? And maybe if you could tell our audience, this is how you should approach someone. Yeah. These are the techniques of how to get someone to listen to you.
Yeah, I think a couple of people, not just young people, the moment they know you are in a position, they come to you wanting you to solve their problem. Yes. Want you to give them your time. And in these roles, time is very scarce. Yes. Commodity. And a resource for that matter. So when you have an opportunity to talk to such kind of executives, be very clear on what you are looking for. First, don't go ask for someone to solve your problem.
Yes.
Maybe if you want, you have a problem, I would prefer you approach me with explaining, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm struggling with. In your experience, how did you get out of this kind of situation?
Yeah.
Then you can have a conversation, and I don't want to tell you what to do. We'll always try to ask you questions. Have you tried this? Somewhere else I knew I did this in this situation. But I've read somewhere someone did this in a similar situation like yours. Have you tried this? And so you keep pushing that ball back to their court. Yes. And if someone amejipata, they will take it as, now this is a learning process. Yeah. And if the more you continue connecting, with time, this executive might lead you to where you can now get more assistance. So just finding someone and banging them with I have a problem, solve it, that will not give you the wings to fly.
Yeah, and we always talk about this, that when you approach someone, you should know like what value do you have to offer to them first before asking like what you want, and it's very, very crucial. So Mr. Bakari, you're about to retire right now, so it means you have had enough of the media game already. So can you tell us like how did you get started and how did you become the CEO of Mwananchi Communication?
It's a long story. Started when I left college. I studied at Sokono University of Agriculture in Morogoro. I was doing Bachelor of Science in Agriculture General. And when we were in school those days, the trend was you leave college and you would go straight to employment.
Okay.
And for us, we are being, this was the first course introduced in Tanzania at SUA, aiming at creating farm managers. So the course entailed studies around the economy, dealing with people, extension services, getting to know the different characteristics of soil. So it was kind of a rounded course, which tend to give you bits and bits of everything around the agricultural production processes. Believing that once you are a farm manager, you have to know, if you have extension officers, what is it that they are doing. You don't become a stranger. So when I left the university, those opportunities had ceased. So left the university, we stayed for like 6 months, no job. And then one lady, Rema Magesa, was my schoolmate. She told me, when I was in the university, I used to be a minister for sports and entertainment. So every weekend I'll put out placard promoting people to go, let's go enjoy somewhere, let's go for a tour in Zumbe or whatever. So there's a way I used to write those promotion materials. And I think she saw something, the art of writing, which I did not know I possessed. So she encouraged me to go to Business Times. Business Times was a prominent business and economic weekly newspaper in Tanzania, where they were taking graduates, if studied journalism or not, but they give you on-the-job training. So I started my career as a journalist, as a trainee journalist, that way. So then, fast forward, became a reporter, a senior reporter, features editor for the Business Times. Then we started a new newspaper called the Daily Times. I became the first news editor. That was between 1998 and 2004, all that period. So in 2004 is when Nation Media Group, through Mwananchi Communications, launched the Citizen newspaper. So they were looking for a business editor, and I applied. I went to become the first business editor. And 2 years later, I was promoted to become managing editor of the Citizen. I worked as managing editor of the Citizen for 7 years. And then 2012, 2013, I was again now promoted to be the executive editor, meaning now you oversee all media operations within Mwananchi Communications. And I was thinking of retiring then, taking an early retirement, having seen that things were starting to be routine. But then the CEO, then Francis Nanai, resigned. So I was asked to take up the position. So it's been 4 years, and I think I've done enough. So I said, give myself a goal to reach where we've reached, and I feel that sense of fulfillment having played my role. So that's how I got into media and journalism. It was pure accident. Never thought of being
in
a
media.
journalist. And my intention then was I'll get into media. With media, I'll get to meet people. Once I meet people, I'll go to what I wanted to do, the field of agriculture. 27 years later, I don't regret.
My question in you've managed to go from ranking to ranking to ranking of getting promoted. How does someone get that mindset? Did you just work hard, or did you have a goal in the end of I want to keep sure that I'll get promoted? Because we see people get too comfortable with the role that they have, that I'm just a salesperson, I'll stay there forever.
Throughout my career, I've never, I've never aspired to be promoted.
Okay.
Yeah, those things have been coming automatically. I've never aspired to be promoted. But what I've tried to do all along has been whatever I get to do, I do it to the best of my ability. So
Yes.
I know my commitment in whatever I take. If I tell you I'll do this, I'll do it, and I'll feel embarrassed if I don't deliver my promise. So that is, I think, has been what drives me to try and make a difference in whatever I'm doing.
So the message I'm getting is, whatever you're doing, whatever role you have,
Yeah.
you shouldn't just be thinking of just getting promoted tomorrow. Just keep doing what you do best, and then the opportunities will come.
Yeah, I remember my father-in-law, Dr. Mutasa, once told me, I went for a trip in Sweden when I was still at Business Times. And when I came back, I came with this energy. And I wanted to kind of change the newsroom, the team. I'm junior, they are my editors, my bosses, but I was like, they need to know this. They need to know how people are doing in other countries. So the energy I came with, I was looking at my superiors, they are looking at me, we are tapoa too. So yes, good thing they are doing, but I'm like, why are you not taking action? So I went venting to my father-in-law then. I told them, this is what I saw, and this is what I've told them, but I don't see them taking action. He gave me one piece of advice I hold today. He told me, Bakari, if you saw good things, be that change. Do them the way you saw them. And somewhere, someday, someone will come looking for a person of your qualities. And the people will be able to point to you, there's someone somewhere who match those qualities. So that is what also helped me to take it by upon myself. Yeah.
So that was exposure.
Exposure.
My question is, and I think it's very important, especially with our generation, we young people get exposed a lot.
Yeah.
We thank God we get to travel a lot, we get to see a lot of things in different countries.
Yeah.
But there's this notion in Africa, or should I say my country, that mkubwa wako huwezi kumwambia kitu. It's very hard to get this message delivered because they've seen it all, and they're older than you, so they know best. But I've been to another country, and I've seen this is how it works, and it will work good for us. How do you get to deliver that? Or for example, the way you did it is your father-in-law told you, be that change. But what if I become that change and I'm called an ignorant person, that I keep doing things my way when this is how you're supposed to do it? How should someone bring this change?
So you see, if I go back to that example, that's exactly what happened. I've seen what others are doing, and these grown up, the bosses are looking at me like, yeah, but we have our way of doing things here. Yes. So that is the reality now. So youth today are exposed. Actually, they're extremely exposed.
Yes.
You don't need to travel, because with technology, you have the world
on your hand.
And I think the danger you guys face today is not like in our time where we had, you see, someone will have knowledge, information, and you'll be looking at them like, wow, How do they get to know this? But the fast forward, you guys are actually more knowledgeable. You have a lot of information. Now, how do you sieve that knowledge to get what is relevant for you? Now, in the process of having so much knowledge, so much information, sometimes you are forceful, too forceful to want to make change overnight. And reality in life on ground is different. So I think humbling yourself down and taking an approach of showcasing some solutions will make these elders start looking at you seriously. And you're a good example. For instance, I was talking to Monty the other day.
Yeah.
I met some executive at Hyatt where like we expected this to be very high level conversation, but this is the middle young entrepreneurs. But the fact that you are able to pull that, bring voice, have those conversations, impact thousands and hundreds of fellow young men and women, somewhere you have put a mark in this country that there are Gen Z somewhere doing something amazing. So you are bringing your fellow youth to the standard, to the map, the national radar.
Yes.
That these guys are daring, they can do this. So with time, they will start now engaging you and believing you. So I'll say I think it is more of the approach of showing more than telling. You know, when you tell, I interact with the youth, my daughter sometimes, she's been like, you know, you guys, you don't understand us. Make us understand you. Do you guys understand us? So we don't understand each other. And so can we humble ourselves down and listen more, and also be able, as a Gen Z, be able to come to a conversation with an open mind.
Okay.
As opposed to if you come with your ideas, you want it to remain that way because you are exposed.
Yes.
Be willing to bring reality into the picture.
Yes.
And what gives the elders that comfort of doing that, because they've been there, they've done that, and the world is not that friendly at times. Yeah.
So, talking about the media, you know, some people say the media is a weapon to shape the narratives of people in the society. And some people think that it's just a place where they can go and get informed. And I've seen some trends, you know, like most wealthy people, they have their own medias. The likes of, you can see Jeff Bezos has Wall Street Journal, and right now Elon Musk has one of the largest medias, X. So what are the secrets of the media? Like, how important is the media?
The media is extremely important.
Yeah.
The media is extremely important. You know, they say in leadership, one key quality is communication. In whatever you're doing, if you have a vision, if it's not translated to the last person in the organization, you'll struggle living that vision. So media are channels for communication. So yes, some people use it for just information, and the information, there are different types of information. Information to just keep you aware of your surroundings, information that will bring you opportunities, information you can use to make decision and what have you. Now, to have control of your narrative, either you have media or you are making appealing content or information, or giving appealing information, so that even if you don't own a media house or whatever, or outlet, people will get to hear your thought. People get to hear. So I don't necessarily believe that everyone must own media. I think those who come to own media, at times they get into it because they are seeing business side of it. Okay. The likes of Jeff Bezos, I don't think he bought Washington Post just to amplify his image globally. No, because he was looking at, now how do I make more impact? Because from where he sits, I mean, he get those publicities and what have you. Likewise, Elon Musk, he saw an opportunity, and the danger of getting into a business of media, and if you want to use it to elevate yourself, people run away from that platform, because good media business is the one that is independent. It has to be seen, it has to be perceived to be independent, so that you attract all kind of listeners, viewers, and followers. Yeah. So it's yes, no, but there are those who actually, you all remember the story of Murdoch.
Ben Madoff.
But Murdoch. Yeah. So you see, he's still powerful. He was so powerful. You remember News of the Day, News of the World, was tapping phones from celebrities, from government officials, and that is how they are making their story. But when that unethical thing was put to the open, they had to shut that paper, and then a lot of change had to happen. So sometimes if you have own a media house, people expect you to hold yourself in a more transparent way. You become more ethical, as opposed to using those to encroach into privacy of other people. And that kills the whole essence of independent media. Yeah.
You talked about the importance of communication, and that actually, even our previous guest, the Turkish ambassador, he also insisted on being able to communicate your message. And you also said that you used to write a lot in your life story. So I want to know, like, what the difference, like, how do you know how to write? What makes something that you wrote a hit piece? Can you take us through that process, please?
Wow, that's a difficult one. When I'm writing, I don't get to know if it is going to be a hit piece, but my style of writing is a bit lazy. Every time I'm writing, I read it, and then I put myself in the shoes of who will be reading this article, and I see there's a question which is not answered. So I'll go pack it, go research about that information. So I take too long to write a simple piece. It can take a week, a month. I was doing this, I met with you.
Yes, I remember.
The other day. I started writing it the same day, packed it, I've been writing it. It's been 3 weeks just to write a small piece, editing. So sometimes it takes me too long to write a piece, because I want to connect all the relevant dots. That's one way of what I do. The other thing is just appreciating the fact that how human beings consume information. I used to do long presentation and I do good slides, but then there will be hard-hitting facts. And there are sometimes you see the entire audience is out there wondering, they are not with you. So it's time you get to learn the art of storytelling. People listen more, people consume information when they see something relating to them or something relating to something they heard. So the storytelling now comes in the sense that you write your article by bringing live example, by telling specific stories, simple stories, or just a narrative or a situation. You talk about it and then you relate with it, and then you keep changing from one aspect, one character to another. So when I'm writing an article, I normally don't want to focus on one aspect. I might introduce 2 or 3 different aspects.
Okay.
So if I pack this, and then in the end you bring it all together from the headline you had, and then you come together in a way of concluding. So that's the approach I normally do, but it doesn't make me write more. I admire those people. I know a friend of mine, Peter Nyanje can write an opinion in a matter of minutes, hours. He's done it. So I'm not gifted that way. So I take a long time to do that. Yeah.
I want to take you back to the media part. You're discussing Elon Musk owning a media, Jeff Bezos owning a media. So I've personally recently started a media. And this is a question for myself and maybe future media owners. Yeah. What are some advice and tips that you could give us that could help transform or take our media companies to the next level? As you can see, digital transformation is crucial right now. There's a lot of digital, we're going into a digital world. What advice or tips do you have for us?
I think for the time I've been in the media sector, I've seen a couple of patterns changing. First, it was a one-way traffic. You in the newsrooms, you have access to information, you have access to newsmakers, and you'll give it to your audience. And there had no alternative but to take it.
Yes.
We had days when we were at Business Times. Our Swahili paper was called Majira. If there's an accident between Dar es Salaam and Morogoro, we will increase print order.
Okay.
And that paper will sell. There will be no returns.
Okay.
Now, why was that the case? Because people want to know if I know someone who was in that bus. They want to know about their loved ones.
Yes.
Fast forward today, you do that kind of story, you'll have all piles of your newspaper coming back and sold, because people are getting that information through social media.
Yeah.
So first, information was a kind of a privilege to newsmakers and the news media, but now, and that made it one-way traffic. But now with social media, with the technology, they want you to cover what they need for them to buy your content. So now it has become a two-way traffic. editors and journalists don't have that monopoly of determining what you should consume, whether you like it or not. Consumers have the ability of forcing you to give them what, and if you don't, they leave you. Number two, it used to be one size fits all. If it's politics, everyone will consume politics.
Okay.
So we had some sort of an homogeneous market or society, so to speak, because we are feeding them and everyone will be consuming. Fast forward today, with all these options, gone are the days where you will expect to force people to read either business or politics. Now, there are those who want to read about entertainment, business, and then business, I want just banking. In agriculture, I want commercial farming, etc., etc. So what that has brought is the heterogeneity of consumers has created a new opportunity for business, for media business, to study about different communities, and instead of saving the entire country market, you pick a community and serve that community with the relevant information they need.
Okay.
So media is now becoming clusters of interest, as opposed to if I do Mwananchi and just politics, there are those who want. So that's why you see even with the Mwananchi Communications, we've been transforming year after year. You look into our papers, there are different segments within that same newspaper.
Yes.
So if you pick it, in a family, everyone might get their section where they have interest from. So those are communities. So if there is any advice or insight I would talk about is just know your customers, know what information they are looking for, and pick a community. You can't do one size fit all anymore. So you and nowadays it's not even doing it by following the demographic that these are the youth aged between here, and this is how they consume. No, it's actually becoming more behavioral. It's moved from demographic, now it's behavioral. What do I want to associate with? What values do I hold dear to me? And if you don't match my values, I'm not going to consume your content. So it's becoming so sophisticated, and I think there's opportunity for everyone as long as you pick your niche and serve it well.
When I was young, I used to read a lot of newspapers because when I go to school, I passed by the newsstands, and whenever I saw those kind of headings in the newspaper, they always intrigued me to buy the newspaper and read more inside. So what makes a good headline?
Yeah, a good headline has to be short, has to be precise, says what is in that story, but also excites you, kind of live with the suspense of wanting to know what is inside. So it's a very, very tricky situation. When you see the headlines in the papers tomorrow or on the street, sometimes people don't know that headline took like 30 minutes or an hour to be written to fit in that space and carry that meaning. Sometimes the whole day you've been thinking about how do I present this in a concise way. So sometimes when I'm the editor, you look at, this is the theme. Today is budget day. So we have seen from the planning presentation speech, this is the approach the government has taken.
Yes.
So you talk to people of their expectation, and you might start creating an headline, and you tell the team, this is going to be our story. Now we have to find facts and figures to talk to this. This is the message. So it's you can't do it at the end, but also it can be the pulling effect of what kind of story do you want to write.
So that can be applied to our podcast too. So if
Yeah.
I'm understanding correctly, is today I'm hosting Mr. Bakari.
Yeah.
Before I've even hosted him,
Yeah.
I could already think of a headline
Yeah.
that will excite people to watch the podcast.
Yeah.
So I should spend a lot of time to think of that headline, because that's, so does that determine
Sure.
if the newspaper is going to be sold or not?
Yeah, and that will shape the conversation, and you would have thought of what do you see as a problem or a challenge from this, from your audience. What will your audience want to hear coming from this person, coming from this sector?
Okay.
And their pain point can make you create that headline. And today we are going to be talking about this, and you go around it until you get to the bottom of it.
Whenever I listen to Donald Trump, one of the presidents of America, he always talks about fake news. And whenever he hears about CNN, he'll be like, that's fake news. And there's one book I read by Ryan Holiday. It's called Trust Me, I'm Lying. It really explains how just average people can manipulate the media and make the media tell fake news. So as a media, how do you ensure that the news that you are giving to the people is the right news? And if that doesn't happen, like, how do you mitigate that?
Yeah. First, it's a very sorry situation we found ourselves as media globally. When you have leaders of the world discrediting media, and with it has tended to bring down the trust of media. Now, in any democracy, media plays a key role of making that democracy thrive. So you look at the way President Trump was attacking CNN, and you look at the other thing most Tanzania maybe are not following is if you look on the other side, Fox News was pro Trump. So it's a situation where someone doesn't want to be criticized, doesn't want to be challenged. And if you challenge me, you become my enemy. It shouldn't be that way. So that was a sorry state to be in. Now, how do you make sure that the content you are giving out is always factual? I think the reason we need to continue protecting the media and the journalists is the fact that with journalism, you don't done professionally. You don't embrace a situation whereby you are amplifying things, you are putting out information without verification. So verification is a fundamental principle of journalism. Verification. And with verification comes the balance, comes objectivity, comes fairness, and at times comes the need to minimize harm. So when you find yourself that we missed our facts, we misrepresented, the profession requires us to be the first one to retract the news, apologize. And I know editors sometimes notorious, don't want to apologize, but you get very high respect by admitting that you got it wrong and you are going to rectify. I've been in those spaces as an editor, and I've seen when we were the first one to hold ourselves responsible, accountable, the public respected that. Yeah. So I think first, be very keen on your verification process, and as human beings, you'll get it wrong. And when you get it wrong, be ready to admit and apologize. Yeah.
So when I was looking through some of your profile, I saw something called 360-degree journalism. So for me personally, I'd like to know more about it. So could you explain what it is and how it benefits journalists and the audience?
Yeah, 360 degrees journalism, I think we are mostly talking then about something we try to do to have a rounded journalist. A journalist who will be able to come up with an idea, go out to the field, be able to feed on the social media. We had a timeline that if you are at a press conference, within the first 5 to 10 minutes of that press conference, we must have something up on your social media. Within half an hour, let's have something going into our website. And then you continue up developing that story within the website. But at the end of the day, if you are coming from a radio station or TV station, then during the news bulletin, you have the information. But from newspapers, it means the next day, you do now a longer piece.
Okay.
And that longer piece will no longer be what happened, where, who did what. Rather, it will be more of why that thing happened, why did they do that, how did they do it. So it's a day-to journalism.
Okay.
So you go to the level of now explaining why things happened the way they did,
Yes.
or whatever was said earlier, what it means for you. So you do a lot of explainer. So we were talking about giving reporters the ability to be multimedia journalists. You are able to report on text, report on audio, report on video,
Yes.
and do it all around. It's a bit challenging. We succeeded to some extent, but I think it was not an easy thing to do. And with time, we've tended to go back to the basics, because now you realize you are missing the element of specialization.
So also in one of the LinkedIn posts that I saw was something very important that you talked about, which was ego. So as young entrepreneurs, I don't know why, but for some reason the ego is always high. So what is the importance of managing your ego, and what advice do you have on this to young people, young men and women that are watching right now?
The ego part is not for just young people. It's a difficult one to manage at all levels. And sometimes I think the danger about success is you quickly forget that there is failure. And from failure, I think, is where we create strength to be able to fight, to conquer our fears and what have you. So one wise man once said, to keep succeeding, you have to know where your success is coming from.
Yes.
If you are not able to tell where your success is coming from, you are not going to continue building on the things that made you successful. So, for instance, you are looking at yourself now, you've done 3 events, and on the third one, within a year, is a hit. Now, managing that success, the way you are doing it, you are all hands on the deck, and you had the fears of what will happen if we fail.
Yes.
But if you don't manage that, if you don't stay in that space of always humbling yourself down, you'll start saying, we are in this space, we have arrived, we can always win. So slowly you would start forgetting what made you succeed this time around. Mlikuwa mlali. And then you see, oh, we brought Ivusi, we've done this. We'll do it. We don't need to meet often. So you start crashing the basics, the way you are approaching your things,
Yes.
which is now the culture of doing things, the habit of doing things. And with that, you move from that space of fearing to fail, and you make every effort to succeed, and we become complacent. So that is where ego plays. Instead of preparing, you say, no, I'm now used to this. I don't need to prepare much.
Yes.
You see, I sometimes I follow these top global leaders who are good orators. When they speak, they move you. So the likes of Obama, when you hear the story of Obama, that will rehearse his speech times and again and again and again before he go to deliver that speech, which every one of you will be like, wow. But good as he still prepares. So it's that discipline of, I think, humility and humbling yourself that if this is how I get to succeed, this should be my way of doing things.
So how I'm understanding is, for example, as you give an example about us, if we say for the next event, we'll plan a week before, then we'll see failure very fast.
Guaranteed.
So
Guaranteed.
for us, or for the people that are watching, for whatever they do, whatever you've seen, how you succeed in that event, on how you did it, you should keep doing it for every event in order to minimize failure.
And probably now keep setting higher standards.
Yes.
You do the post-mortem after the event, and then how do you raise it a notch higher? There's a post-mortem when you have done the thing is dusted, and there's pre-mortem. So pre-mortem, you're asking yourself, what will go wrong?
Okay.
What if this happened? So that puts you to the level of preparedness of solving crises, the unexpected when they happen.
Yes.
Instead of now just doing the postmortem. The postmortem will tell you, this is where we did well, this is what went well, this is what went wrong,
Okay.
what should we do better?
Yes.
So if you keep with that pace, then every time you'll be taking your things a notch higher chair to the next level.
Technology is changing very, very fast, and it's affecting the media landscape as well. As we know, just a few years ago, we had no social media at all. So, as the CEO of Mwananchi Communication, how have you ensured that Mwananchi is sustainable over all these years?
I think with the Mwananchi Communications, a couple of things contribute to the success of Mwananchi. One is governance. Governance is one key component for a business to succeed. Number two is the culture of continuous improvement and innovation. So over the years, when I talk about governance, I am referring to the fact that you have an organization, Mwananchi Communication being part of Nation Media Group. We have very elaborate structures, governing structures. You have the shareholders, principal shareholder is Ernest the Aga Khan, but then you have the board of directors at the group level, and you have board of director at Mwananchi Communication as a subsidiary in Tanzania. A very active board meets every 3 months without a miss. And at times when things are not going well, the frequency increases. So what that tells you, the interest for the business, to the business, there are eyes within the organization watching, there are eyes outside the organization watching, and they are always trying to bring you back on track. So below the board, you have the management, executive committee, and then you have management committee, and then you have those other level and all the staff. So the governance part allows us as management to be in check. To be in check, we are answerable to the board. If we mess it up, they deal with us, they guide us, and if we do well, now they always ask you where this success coming from. How do we do more in that space? Now, through the same structure, format of governance, also come the element of continuous improvement and innovation. So strategy and counter strategy, you review your strategy every year, every 3 months, every other time. You have the brains coming from the board sitting with you as management. Where are we going? What do we see in the market, the challenges? So those consultation tends to always keep you on your toes. And that enables us to navigate these challenges. So I would say those two being accepting that you need to be a learning organization, experiment, fail fast, something will work. So keep trying.
The way I'm seeing the board meeting and making sure everything is on track, it's as if you have mentors that look out for you guys. Now, coming back to entrepreneurs, how important are mentors and coaches in achieving success? And how can young entrepreneurs, even just entrepreneurs in general, find the right mentor? How does that work?
Yeah, I think when you talk of coaching, if I make reference of Vusi's master class, that a coach is someone who guides you kind of on the job training on daily operations and what have you. This is how this is done and what have you. Mentor is more of you looking out to where you are troubled, and then you discuss, and then you are given challenge, you go work on them. because they don't have much time to meet all the time. So to have a mentor, I think you can approach it two ways. At least this is how I've done. I've approached it two ways. I will be idolizing someone. I follow what they do. I pick interest with the way they behave, they communicate, and what they do. So I start them without them knowing that and when you have an opportunity, you actually tell them, you inspire me on ABCD. And just by telling them that, you start creating a relationship now. And they start following your progress as well. And sometimes without even soliciting for their advice or what have you, they will offer it to you. And if they see an opportunity, they will loop you in. And in the process, you are starting creating a sponsor somewhere. Someone who now is comfortable with you will speak for you when you are not there. So that is one way. The other is where you have you approach someone exactly asking them, I want you to mentor me. And you should be able to tell them, why are you picking that person? What is it that is troubling you? And at the end of the day, what do you want to achieve? So I had a young person approach me about 3-4 years ago. And the trouble was coping with their supervisors and seeing, I want to do things differently, but this is what I'm facing. And this young man was thinking of even leaving the job. So we have this conversation and I ask him, so when you are told this, how do you respond to it? I see it doesn't make sense. So I said, no, how about trying to do, can you go try do it this way? He went, he did it, and it's like, he did not even wait for the date we are said to meet again. He called and said, it has worked. So what he was looking for was good relationship, working relationship with his boss. And why did he pick me? I asked him, said, no, I've seen you, the way you reach out, you talk to the youth. I want him to also talk to me that way. So again, you start telling, we differ. So everyone has their different approaches, so you have to just embrace it. So I'll say, sometimes be clear, why are you approaching me? What do you want to become at the end of the day? And you have to set some time frame for mentorship. Yeah.
Most people underestimate what you can do in 5 years, and they overestimate what you can do in 1 year. Yeah. That's why most people are not sustainable in doing what they're doing every single day. But you have been in the media, not just 1 year or 2 years, 25 years plus. That's a very, very long time. So what are some of the most important lessons that you have learned over that period being in the media space?
I think taking it at a time, taking one thing at a time. I mean, if I'm in this space now, I do it to the best of my ability. And then if I do it well, that's a plus packed in the bag already. Yeah. So that's one. Number two is being in the media, we impact people. And sometimes when you are a media person, a journalist, you tend to confuse journalism with, you get into the journalism side of things by believing that using your pain or what, you can discipline Musa. I can show you, I can put you in your place. So you will win, you'll put him more in your place. But the satisfaction or the image you'll be building, the reputation you'll be getting from the public will be different. I don't know if that should inspire you to be in that space. So over the years, I've always taken journalism as a tool of impacting people and development. Information is power. So if I do a piece which will not please someone in authority, because I unearthed the lot of something that is going wrong, and then so doing it is denying a certain community the resources they need for social services, that's a public good. So the community will feel the impact of that report, but the person sitting in that office, executive, district executive, whatever, will not be happy. But with time, I believe he knows or she knows what she's doing is wrong. So if we focus on the impact for that matter, and then when you are maybe critiquing something, I always think of, so is there a way out? And in journalism, it's called the solution journalism. Don't just be a champion of explaining a problem. How do you bring into the conversation the element of finding solution? So constructive criticism. So over there, I've been looking at it that way. The other thing I learned, which has also become so useful in my career, is whatever knowledge you get, whether you are in a conference, whether you are reading some book or in a literature, find something you can apply. Find something you can apply. You might get 10, 20 ideas, but if you pick even a small one, you implement it. After a year, you might have implemented 10, 20. 5 years, you said 5 years is a long time, 1 year, 20 years. But now imagine every year you are doing 5 good things you learned times 25.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
So you keep growing every single year.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Bakari, for joining us. Before we end the podcast, we have a new culture that we have started where a previous guest leave a question for the next guest, and you will be able to leave a question for the future guest, not knowing who it is. So you'll just be leaving a question for them. So the previous guest left a question for you, not knowing who you are. They left a question. If given a chance in the next 5 years, where do you see the world in gender equality in your industry? Is it men equal to women, women above men, men or men above women, which is the current challenge that we are facing?
So, gender issues is a very topical issue now.
Yes.
And we as Mwananchi Communications has been running a program called, an initiative called the Rising Woman.
Yes.
Rising Woman was built along three main principles. One, tell positive stories about women who have been successful. Yes. Number two, recognize organizations which have set good internal framework policies to elevate, to help women ascend to top position.
Okay.
And number three, recognize awards organization living the gender balance, that in their leadership across the organization, they are close to that 50-50% or even high. Why did we do that? It's exactly because we believe as Mwananchi Communications, we have a slogan saying, empowering the nation. So how do we empower the nation? We empower the nation through different aspects. So if there is this challenge of women empowerment, how do we play a role in that space? Okay. So we came into that, and when we are launching it, our situation was worse internally. We had very few, one or two women in our, one woman actually, in our senior leadership position. So that did not stop us from starting that. We said, let's start, tutapigwa mawe, but that should teach us also to thrive to get there. The one thing so I've been involved in a lot of campaign and women development initiatives. Yes. And from my early days, I've grown up not looking at women as they're incapable. Yes. I think that's my problem at times, because I tend to expect women to not give me the card of I'm a woman. So you are a man, you're a man. If you're a man, you're a woman. If I give you the task, I expect you to deliver the same way as. So when you bring me the card of a woman, I'm troubled, because I grew up in primary school. We had one lady, Nesta Libali. She was beating us in exams. Secondary or level, we had Patricia Membe. She was beating us. Mm-hmm. Patricia Membe and the Gilbert Iliangwa, they were trading the number one position. Equally, Gilbert Iliangwa and the Onesta Libali, Evil, primary. Mm-hmm. So I grew up seeing women are capable as equal. So the trouble I'm having now, why did I say that? The trouble I'm having now is, I think, and this is a bit sensitive, but it has to be said, I think I always feel it is not right for women to lock themselves up somewhere and they want to solve the problem of gender equality by themselves. Okay. Because what we are seeing now, the affirmative action, yes, has helped. There has to reach a point where, for us to make progress, the two sexes need to work together. Okay. There are more discussion now of when we were empowering women, why did we forget to empower this young man on how to deal or engage with an empowered woman? Yes. And the definition of an empowered woman is they are different, but so we are now in a space where there are more discussion now coming up that What about a boy child? So are we, we said in 5 years' time, are we on the highway to now tilting the balance the other way, and then after some other years, then we started putting more effort the other way, or do we want to have something balanced? I don't have one answer. That's a complex, but that's how I look at that challenge. But whoever left that question, it was loaded.
Thank you very much. Now, could you please leave a question for our next guest, not knowing who it is?
Not knowing who is. I'll ask him or her to tell us, how do we fast track bridging the gap of understanding between corporate executive and the young executives, entrepreneurs who are the future of this country, but they are not anywhere near the formal decision-making process.
Thank you very much. I think the other person also has to sit there saying, wow, this question is done.